just whenever you're ready.
Alright, so first thing I'm going to ask you is what's your name and what grade are you in?
My name is Rayvon Smith and I'm a junior.
Alright, and how have you play basketball, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how have your sports affected your grades overall?
Well, when I first started playing, it kept me out of trouble, so, I mean, I like playing, so my grades went up, but then after a while, basketball became my first priority, so my grades kind of dropped.
Rayvon Smith is a junior at Plano Senior High School. He claims that the no-pass, no-play system holds athletes such as himself to a higher standard. However, others question whether athletics outweigh academics. Thousands of high school students across the nation today faced Rayvon's situation, whether or not they should focus all their attention on athletics at the risk of losing academic eligibility.
No pass, no play is to ensure that students make the best grade they can. They have to make at least a 70 each 6 weeks to be able to participate in a sport.
Okay.
Mostly because, you know, most of the time kids don't, or people don't participate in a sport their whole life. And so it's very important to have something to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that needs to be something to do with education. So if you're a washed up old baseball player, you should be able to read and write so that you can do something after.
In 1984, the Texas legislature passed the No Pass, No Play bill that sent a message to high school athletes, band members, and all extracurricular participants. If they did not make passing grades, they would not be allowed to participate in sports or any other extracurricular activity. However, much has changed since 1984.
And when I played, there was no 3-week mark that you had to get to. If you failed the 6 weeks, then you were out for 6 weeks. So nowadays, the rule is, if you fail the 6 weeks, there's a 3-week grade checkpoint, and then you can become eligible midway through the 6 weeks.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I don't think a student should be allowed to participate in athletics if they can't even pass the courses that are required for graduation. It was not used. It has had some deleterious effects as well as some good effects.
The idea of having to balance both sports and rigorous academic courses strikes fear into the minds of many student athletes. They claim that the no pass, no play policy is not very considerate of what the students have to go through. Justin Kim, a junior, plays varsity soccer at Plano Senior High School and admits that although he respects the rule, does not necessarily agree with the no pass, no play policy.
I definitely agree that with athletics, academics becomes a lot harder because you have to manage time really well. I have to say my grades stayed fairly equal, like as if I would have played sports.
Alright, so do you think the pass play system should be enacted, or are you against it?
I'm actually against it because if an athlete is really struggling with school, like they may have like one hard class that they're taking and they really can't get the concept, and they pay for that by not being able to play sports when they may actually be really good at sports. I just think it's a little unfair for those athletes maybe struggling in school and just need that little extra help.
With practices 2 or 3 times a week and then games on the weekends, I probably didn't study as much as I should because I was at practice, and soccer was way more fun than studying.
Of course.
Mary Sisala, coach of City of Plano Swimming, describes the significance that education has, not only in high school, but even after graduation.
I started swimming when I was 9. I was really good at swim lessons, and so they said that I set up a swim team. So I joined when I was 9. I was terrible for the first 3 or 4 years. And then I got a really great coach who changed my life, and I got really good. I started making national meets. I started swimming at higher levels with higher swimmers, and it was really awesome. It was a really great experience. It was a real blessing. Through high school, I swam 5 years on varsity team because I swam as an 8th grader with the varsity team and made it to state on the state championship relay, and that was pretty cool. through high school, you know, I took all AP classes and honor classes. That was kind of the thing is I knew by the time I was an 8th grader that I wanted to swim in college. I knew I had to pay for college. My parents weren't going to pay for it. And so I decided I was going to pay for it through swimming. And so I knew my grades needed to be high, and I knew I needed to swim fast. And so I had to learn that balance at a really young age of being on top of my schoolwork and being on top of my swimming. And it's something that I had to take all the way through college. Because guess what, if you're in a sport like swimming, your teachers don't care if you are the greatest in your sport. They still expect you to be in class and passing their classes. And I did that. I also knew, being a swimmer, that my career lay outside of my sport, or at least I thought it did. So I knew that what I did in the pool was just a way to get my classroom work paid for. I knew that I had to swim fast in order to pay for school, so that school was the main objective. Getting that degree, getting that diploma was what I was swimming for, and I always kept that in mind. That really helped me keep focus. I think that's something that, especially I saw at college, is a lot of these guys who are in, you know, those top-end sports, football, basketball, they're thinking that sports is their end. They want to play in the NBA, they want to play in the NFL, but it's like 10% of these athletes make it to that level, and then they're left, you know, having not learned anything in college because all they were doing was playing sports, not learning anything in high school because all they wanted was that college scholarship.
In high school, only 5 out of 100 athletes end up making it into college sports. After that, fewer than 3% of college athletes turn pro. In other words, for every 1,000 high school athletes, only 1 goes on to play sports at the professional level. In addition, 10% of all college athletes in a given sport have career-ending injuries.
And they're left at the end of, you know, what I spanned for 10 years. They left at the end of that 10 years with nothing to show for it except for injuries, which is, you know, kind of what happened to me. I got an injury my sophomore year, and it ended my career. It was heartbreaking. It was the worst thing ever to leave your sport when it's not your choice, and something has happened to your body. It's also really devastating to be a 19-year-old and feel like you're an invalid. You know what I mean? You feel like you're inept and unable to do something you've been able to do forever, and unable to do things that any other person can do, and that was really difficult. And you see that in every sport. It's so sad to see these people get injured and their lives are just torn apart. But fortunately for me, I was taught by teachers and by my parents that the reason I was swimming was for school, and that was the most important thing. And so I could dive into that school. But what was cool is my heart still lay in swimming, and I found I was a really good coach. I was a really good people person. I understood the sport. I got told by my coaches early on that I had an eye for understanding the sport, an eye for technique, a basic understanding and natural understanding for training. And so they encouraged me to pick up coaching when I retired, so that the sport wasn't taken away from me. I still, you know, now I coach. This is what I want to do. This is what I love. But I know that it was because I had the right perspective that I'm able to come back and be in coaching. You know, I didn't let my injury destroy me. I knew that the sport was just part of a bigger plan. And I think that's something that a lot of athletes get told, that this is the end, and it's not. It's just the avenue to the rest of your life.
So what happens to the rest of the athletes who did not share the same foresight as Mary? About 95% end up working at dead-end jobs because they didn't capitalize on their college scholarships, taking majors such as social sciences, physical education, and communications, all in an effort to beat the no-pass, no-play system and make it to the pros.
In regards to the pass-play system,
Yeah.
are you for it or against it?
I'd probably say I am for it. Because it really is important that you teach kids and teach athletes that there's so much more than the court, so much more than the pool. There's a whole life out there, and swimming defined me as a person.
The key to maintaining the best of both worlds for student athletes is easier said than done, but there is a way for players to keep up in both school and sports.
Balance. Make sure you balance everything, and talk to your coach and to your teachers, because a lot of times coaches will, you know, excuse you from something so that you can go to tutorials, or you know, just make sure that they know that you're kind of struggling. You know, it's not, you don't have to do everything by yourself. You may be in a class that you're not that great at, but a teammate is really good at, so you can tutor each other. You know, you just have to communicate and definitely keep a balance. You know, both of them are extremely important, but you want to stay grounded and balanced. I coached in a really, really small Texas school when I was first a teacher, and we had an athlete who was amazing. He went on to play baseball for the Boston Red Sox, but he couldn't have cared less about school. I mean, it was the place that he got to come to lift weights, to play football, baseball, basketball, run track. I mean, he was amazing. And his junior year, he failed a class. And it was during baseball season as well as track season. And it hit him hard, but he figured out that it was his own fault because he didn't study. And then he made it back for the district track meet. He made it back for baseball playoffs, and he pitched in the 1A state game, and then he also participated in 5 track events at the state track meet. So, and then the next year he was like on the honor roll. So, you know, that's a best case scenario for a student, for something like that to happen, and then they turn it around. So, you know, he was ineligible for 3 weeks, and then he was able to come back and help both of his teams.
While this is the best case scenario for most athletes, the normal scenario for players after school is quite a bit different, as their academic progress has been stifled in exchange for trying to circumvent the no-pass, no-play system.
My son-in-law, whose coach advised him not to take pre-calculus, even though pre-calculus was not part of no pass, no play, because no pass, no play was only about the courses that were needed for graduation. So his coach, he was a wrestler, he said, no, don't take that hard math class, you might not pass it. And then not knowing that even if he wasn't passing it, he could still wrestle. And to this day, he is having trouble passing business calculus because he does not have the pre-calculus background. Now, I used to have a lot of football players in particular in calculus, and the minute no pass, no play went forward, they all dropped calculus, even though calculus was not part of no pass, no play.
It seems that although the no pass, no play system has many merits and its intentions are sincere, it contains many flaws that need to be addressed. Otherwise, athletes will end up consistently underachieving, perpetuating a cycle of mediocrity and causing their futures to be dependent upon the whim of a coach or a talent scout. Although the policy was intended to curb this trend, its outdated methods have caused it to fall far short of its goal, giving athletes an educational insurance policy in case their sports career doesn't pan out.
Thank you.
Can I leave now?
Yeah. Take your book.
Obviously, I don't think someone should be playing, you know, for a college team either if they can't even pass the courses required for the college. I mean, that's what they do in the college. You have to be a contributing student to the school, or you cannot play sports for the school, and high school should be the same thing. But better education should come forward showing that only certain classes have to be being passed, and that athletes should be still encouraged a great deal. They're starting to come back. Football players are starting to come back, and athletes are starting to come back, and drill team members are starting to come back to pre-cal and calculus, but it's taken a long time. But I do believe in the rule I just don't believe we have been educated well about how the rule works.
And how do you feel about the pass play system? Do you think it should stay, or do you want it gone?
It should stay because, I mean, it's not like you can just go play if you're failing. Yeah, it's like most athletes think they're above everyone, right? And that they can do whatever they want. But I mean, everybody expects you to be a leader. And
so basically, what you're saying is like academics keep student athletes like in check.
Yes, it keeps them humble and not to get too cocky and think that they can do everyone.
All right.
Although the no-pass, no-play system is not perfect in its application, athletes such as Rayvon believe that it succeeds in providing a standard, a bar that students strive to surpass. As a result, no-pass, no-play eliminates the belief that one can excel only in sports or only in school. It provides hope for them to excel in both.
Tears streaming down your face when I said I'd never let you go. When all those shadows almost killed your life.